Jane Asher and Melvyn Hayes, tells us of their childhood memories, starring in the rediscovered children's film Adventures in the Hopfields. Then, as you can see, the film is a fascinating hark back to a simpler age before television, when children spent their Saturday mornings in darkened cinemas around the country. I was there. And even more fascinating is the fact that the film was found in a skip on the streets of Chicago. Now, the man who bought the film joins us this afternoon, and he is Barry Littlechild. Hi, Barry, how are you? Thank you for joining us today. Now, listen, explain this whole thing about Chicago, first of all.
Well, I get a magazine each month called The Big Reel, which is full of adverts from loonies in America who advertise old films. I mean, you get some strange rubbish, like The Sex Life of a Slow Worm, things like this. It means nothing to anybody.
I must say, I thought The Adventures in the Hopfields sounded a bit like a porno movie as well, but there you go.
But amongst the small adverts was this thing, Adventures in the Hopfields, and I thought, well, Hopfields in Chicago, very odd. So anyway, I rang the guy up. I said, what's this film about? He said, oh, it's a children's film made in the UK. He said, I don't know much about it. It's $50, but if you give me 35, you can have it. So I sent the $35 up, and it turned up. And I put it on, and well, it started off Mandy Miller. I thought, Mandy Miller, long-lost Mandy Miller, how wonderful. And then it went on, it's streets of London, bomb site damage. I thought, this is like hue and cry, great. Then they go to London Bridge, steam train, on the steam train to Goudhurst. Now, you're not far, you're Sevenoaks, I think you live. Goudhurst is a little village near Tunbridge Wells, and the railway station disappeared in '60 with the Beecham Act. And I thought, well, this is amazing. Well, they get off the train, and I thought, well, they're obviously going to go off to some fictitious village. But no, they walk up the high street to Goudhurst and then into the Hopfields. And the whole film...
And they stayed in Goudhurst?
It stayed in Goudhurst.
Which is not a million miles from where you live,
No, indeed. Well, incredible. So I thought, wow, this is amazing. Maybe people in Goudhurst would like to see this. So in the local little letter, I found this film. Anybody interested? And inundated with people. Oh, I was in it, my mother was in it, all sorts of things. A guy rang up.
The village were extras
well, yes,
at the time.
That's right. Lady rang up, I was paid £half, and I think my mother's in it. And then some chap rang up and said, oh, it was written by Molly Thorpe. And I said, that's right, yes, on the ground. That was my mother. I haven't seen this film for ages. He said, oh, I'd love to see it. So he's coming, and well, it just mushroomed and mushroomed, and we've got the village hall in Goudhurst, and we're showing it tonight, and well, the tickets
sold out.
But well, it was just a small charge for the village hall. That's all we thought. Well, have a job to fill it, and the tickets were available in the morning at the local shop, and they went within an hour, and the people were ringing up panicking. What are we going to do? I said, well, we could put another show on. Following week, putting the show on again, and again, all tickets are gone.
But back in Chicago, do we know why it was lying in the skip?
Well, what happened was the film was made for the Children's Film Foundation, which filmed for Saturday morning cinema. ABC, they had the ABC Miners, Granada, Odeon. In Tunbridge Wells, there was the Opera House, which was run by the Isolde. Do you know where Isolde came from?
No.
The guy that owned Isolde was Sol Sheckman, and he had two daughters, Esther and Dorothy. So Isolde came on the scene.
Now, there you go.
Anyway, when I was a kid, we used to queue up and go in and see these films. So you had two cartoons, the Three Stooges, something else, the Serial, Flash Gordon, and these CFF films, and that's what it was made for. Well, what happened was, after a time, they didn't know what to do with these films. They were made specifically for kids' Saturday morning cinemas. So they did a deal with American TV. American TV wanted these things for early morning television. They were whisked off to America and shown, and that was it. But in the end, they didn't know what to do with them. And as luck had it, this guy in Chicago was going past the film studios. There was a skip full of film.
So he took it out?
He pulled it all out and kept the stuff he wanted and advertised the rest. And amazingly, I saw it, and there was this film.
And how many movies do you have at home in your collection?
I have about 2,000, but my wife's kicking up now because the garden sheds are getting too big, and she won't have another garden shed.
And where do you have this cinema in your house? Did you convert a room of some sort?
We're lucky enough to Ghost House, which Hopfields and everything, and it was a barn that was converted to a garage. And when we moved in, the first thing we did was convert the garage to a cinema.
What a luxury!
And my son's in the film industry, and he got some Wardour's Street seats, which famous bums have sat on them. Laurence Olivier actually used one.
What, like Laurence Olivier's bum set?
Yes.
I'd have little labels on them. I know. Well, now, just sit where you are, because two of the child actors from the movie are sure to be very familiar to all of us, because after their adventures in the Hopfields in Kent, they went on to have huge success. They join us now to roll back the years, so will you give the biggest welcome to Jane Asher and Melvyn Hayes. Well, there you were, in the Hopfields. Hello, Jane. Are you all right?
Yes, I'm fine.
I think this is just such a lovely story, do you not?
It's wonderful.
Jane, have you ever seen the film back?
No, I don't think I have. And I just had this call from a journalist saying you've been found on in a rubbish... I think I was about... I was born in 46. It was made in 53,
yes, I think you were 6.
Six.
So I was 6, yeah.
And what do you remember about it?
Wonderful.
I don't
thought she was a
remember
midget
very
at the time.
much. I remember the smell of the hops very strongly, and I remember just having a great time playing around in the field with all the children that were there. But my part, and I don't remember anything about it at all.
Well, obviously Melvyn does.
Well, I was very old. Well, I've always been old, actually. But most of my films end up in skips. It's like being back in the jungle again, isn't it? Here? It's lovely. No, it's absolutely magic. When they phoned up and said we found this film, I couldn't believe it because it was like, we're talking about 48 years ago. It's unbelievable, and it all comes back. I mean, basically, I was so excited. I mean, some of the names, I mean, Dandy Nichols, Mona Washburn, these people went on to become National Theatre players, and Tony Valentine, that little boy, Tony Valentine.
Was Tony Valentine in it as well?
Yeah, I mean, you see him. I mean, he was that nasty commandant in Colditz, and he played Raffles and everything, but it's lovely to be united with this lovely lady.
We were all the same agent, you see, Anthony Valentine and Melvyn and I and Sean Barrett.
I'm still waiting to be paid, actually, I think.
Sorry?
As I said, the director was John Gillerman, who went on to make Tower and Inferno. I was Monty's double. I mean, lots of top-notch films.
Fantastic.
And Mandy Miller I remember very well, because I did 3 films with her. She was a wonderful,
Does anybody know
actress.
where Mandy Miller is these days?
She made 11 films, and then she just called it a day, disappeared. We found out that she actually came back to life in '81. She presented a TV show on oil rigs. Didn't last very long.
As you do.
And that was in '81, and nobody knows what's happened to her. But
And do we know she's still alive?
Oh, I think she's still alive, and just wiped her hands of the media.
Oh, well, I just want to say, before we show the bit of film, that if anybody knows where Mandy Miller lives or whereabouts or any information, do get in touch with the programme.
I think she may have gone to Australia. That's what I seem to remember hearing when I was very young.
She might have some relatives
She
somewhere
was
there.
beautiful.
Yes,
She had
beautiful.
an amazing... I mean, while we were filming, I remember her sitting in a car and people coming out and saying to her mother, can we just look at her? And the mother said, no, she's not an object. Have I got time to tell you very quick? John Gillerman, the director, I knew he was going to make it big because there's a scene in the film, right at the end of the film, where little Mandy, I've put her in this windmill and the whole thing catches fire and I go and rescue her and I can still hear the screams in the Saturday morning cinema for the kids. And we were actually shooting this in a studio in Brighton, and what happened was that I'm in the middle of this thing with little Mandy and they're dropping stuff around, and suddenly the producer rushes on the set and said, turn the fires off, turn the fires off. And the director said, no, it's my scene, you're killing it. The whole set was alight. The whole set was alight, and we had to be rescued. And then, as I say, he went on to make Towering Inferno, and the nearest I got was Do a Day Now Fop Mum. But you can see how it sort of went.
There must be a connection there
somewhere.
Now, before we show the film, I just want to say that, Melvyn, I couldn't believe, because you said to me you saw this in Canada 2 years afterwards, at which point I thought you must have been about 13. But how old were you when you made this?
I must have been, we made it in 50, I was 18.
18.
I'm very
still
old.
Looking
I'm
like
very,
this
very
child.
old. Yes.
I know,
Okay.
I can't believe it.
I've got this painting in my attic. Those intelligent members of the audience will realise what I'm talking about. When I
What,
say
that you
painting.
trundle out every so often?
No, it's
I think it's a Dorian Gray
that's the
illusion,
one,
don't you?
thank you very
Yeah.
much. It's lovely to have intelligent people.
We got it, we got it, we got
He
it.
does play a nasty bit of work, though. He's a really nasty character.
He is. Let's have a
Is
look
he
at the
in
piece
the
of
film?
film,
Oh,
actually.
yes, he's
Now,
nasty.
Jane, watch carefully.
Got your pension, have I?
I wasn't pinching, I only took it because I was hungry.
We'll see about that.
Crack through the middle. She came along here, all right. Of course she did. We saw her going into the orchard, Stoppy. Oh, shut up. Come on. Blimey, right, boys. Come on, Hopper.